Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about a heart-based health system. This is going to start off pretty easy. We're just going to do single hearts. Every time you lose an HP, you lose a heart. And it's going to gradually get more and more complicated as we add in quarter heart pieces and also as we add in a second row. We're going to be looking at a couple of things. For loops, if you're not familiar with those, I'll show you how to do those. It's a little bit complicated for beginners, but you can definitely learn it. It's not terribly hard. And then the other thing we're going to be messing with is the div and mod commands, which you may not be familiar with because we don't use them too much in GameMaker, but they are very useful for certain things that you want to do. Specifically with these hearts, it's going to be very helpful because we're going to be changing our health around. We're going to be changing our max health around to kind of show how those work. So thanks for watching the video, and let's get started. So this is my second time recording this, I don't remember if I changed some of the code up, but hopefully nothing is too different. I made sure my heart system was blank, but if you're just starting, there's a few things we need. First, you're going to have to set up your max HP. You're also going to set up your HP equals max HP and your display HP equals HP. Your display HP is actually what we use for the lerp, which makes everything go smoothly. So we won't really be using that in here, but it's there if you want to know what was here. And then I have something where I'm just pressing a button, and that's what's going to decrease our health. And then I have something in here to restart the room. So now you're all caught up with what I've got so far and things that you'll need for the heart system. You don't need any of the restart or anything like that, but I'm just going to show you how the system works. And let's get started. Okay, the very first thing you're going to have to do, if you've got your heart system here, remember we're in the draw event right now. We're going to have to create a sprite for our hearts. So to do that, let's right click, hit sprite. Let's call this sHeart SPR because I've already got a sprite in here I want to use, so I'm not going to give it that name. I'm going to call mine sHeart in the actual game. So just so you're aware of that, what we want to do is 32 by 32. That's a good size. Let's draw a little heart piece. You can see I've already made some, but I'll just show you how I did it real quick. You take, actually, let's do a straight line down the middle. I'm going to do something I can erase really fast. And then let's do our heart piece. I'm only doing half right now. And then let's do this. With this button, then we're going to copy. That brings me to this, and I flip it, and here we go. I'm just going to erase the extra stuff. Get rid of that and remove this color. And now I have a beautiful heart piece. If you were doing this in your game, you'd probably want to clean stuff like this up. That is not very attractive. Normal pixel art stuff. But that's not what we're here for. So let's show you how to make this heart system. And then you color it in. So that's our normal heart, and then we're going to have a outline heart. So we'll start off, we're just going to do 2 heart pieces. So first one's going to be the outline, the second one's going to be the heart. For my outlines, I usually like to put in an alpha in the back. If you want to see how I did that, I just clicked my black color, I brought my alpha, it was at the top here, I just brought it down to about here. And then fill that in. Whoops, not like that. Like that. There we go. So now we have a little alpha on the back, so it's not completely transparent. It's just partially transparent. This is what I'm going to use for right now. I'm actually going to change this later because I have a heart sprite in here that has quarter pieces that we are going to be needing pretty soon. But for right now, this one is going to be fine for us. All right, we're back in our health systems object called oHealth. When I make a system like this, I want to start off by just doing the most basic thing possible and then add on from that. So the first thing we're going to do is just draw our sprite, nice and easy. So things it asks for, it wants our sprite, which we have as sHeart SPR. It wants our subimage, which is 0. It wants our X and Y, which I think I modified my X and Y, I think, between this video and the last one. For all of the other stuff, I think I moved it up. But this one we can move down. So let's just see where we like this. I think I'm going to put it at like 280. No, it's going to be 100 for the X, and then I think I have it like 280 for the Y. Be 220. Okay, that's good enough. So that's where I'm going to have my heart. And that's going to be our background heart. So the first thing we want to do is put this in a for loop. If you've never used for loops before, they are very scary looking, but they're actually not that bad at all. The best way to do this so that you're not making mistakes, hit F4, brings up your code snippets. Again, that's F4. And then you just click for loop and do the IN. I'm actually not sure what this does. Oh yeah, that's not what we want. This makes it real easy, writes out everything for you. And then we just put this in here. So what this is going to do is it's going to loop over and over again in the same frame as many times as this says this condition, until this condition is met. So the condition we want is for our HP, right? We want to show how much HP we have, which let's set this to 5 just to make everything real easy. So let's loop that through. That should draw 5 hearts. It's actually going to draw them one right on top of the other. Yeah, so you only see one. And then to move that, here's how we move that, because you know, how do you draw something over and over again and have it moved? Well, the only thing that's changing is our I variable. It starts out at 0 and it keeps going up one time every single time this loops through, and it will keep going up until the condition is met, which is HP. So if I did this, it would increase by 1 every single time to the right. It would move to the right every single time it loops through. But I don't want to go over 1 time. I want to go over 32 times because that's the sprite width, which I'm actually going to put 35 because that's just a little buffer between each heart. So every single time it loops through, it's going to go, all right, I'm drawing this at location 100 plus 0 times 35 because it starts at 0. So that's 0. So it's going to start it at 100, draw our heart. It's going to loop through again, 100 plus 1 times 35, which is 135. So it draws our next one at 135. So that's how our for loop is going to work, and we're drawing our hearts. And you can see as they go down, the hearts go down, everything is working just fine. Of course, we actually don't want this to decrease every single time because this is our background. Let me label this. And so what we do is we set that to max HP. That way it's not going down every single time. But on top of that, if you think of it like we're drawing on a piece of paper, we want to draw something on top. So you have your background, it's being drawn by the system, it's there. But now we want to draw our current hearts. So that's going to be our HP. And we don't want 0, we want 1. So it's pretty much going to just draw one right on top of the other. And you see it's still drawing that black background. It's just doing it underneath this red one. So there's our heart system. If that's all you came here for, great. Be gone. No, thanks for watching. But first I'm going to show you how to do a second row in case you want to do more than 5 hearts in your whole game. And then I'll show you how to separate those hearts into quarter pieces. So instead of taking out a full heart every single time you do this, it's going to take out a quarter heart every single time. So it'll go a 1, 2, 3, 4, heart gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, heart gone. And I'll show you how to do that. But first, let's do our, let's change this. So this is going to be our first row. This is going to be our second row. The first thing we want to do is set up a size for our rows. So let's say row length equals, let's say we want 10 on each, every single row is going to have 10. So it's fairly easy to do. Just take all this stuff that was right here. You could probably do this in a for loop too, but to keep things from getting really bloated in here, I'm going to put it in a second row. That just makes things easier for me to read as I'm making all this stuff. And this way I know it works. So here we go. Min max HP, or what else? Row length. So our min will give us the lowest of either of these. So whichever one's lower, it's going to do that. So if our row length is lower than our max HP, it'll only do the row length. If our max HP is lower, it'll only do the max HP. So let's do something similar right here. I just copied and pasted that, and this is going to be our normal HP. And then let's just see what that looks like right now. If I were to make this, let's do 20 because we want to have 2 rows, right? 2 rows of 10 hearts. Okay, that's going to put everything on 1 row because we didn't change this one. That was silly of me. So let's put this here. Let's put this here. And while we're here, let's just change it so that it actually works. What we have to do is subtract our HP minus row length. And we'll see if that works. And we didn't change the Y value, so one piece at a time. We're hitting these one piece at a time. And we'll try that now. It should all be working. Okay. And that's all working fine. If that was all you came here for, then great. Skedaddle. Thank you. Thank you for watching. If it's not, and you want to see how to do the quarter pieces, strap in because this is a pain in the neck. But I figured it out last night, and I'm going to share it. Gosh darn it. So, very first thing we want to do, let's change our... What's happening here? Let's change our sprite. Our sprite needs to have a sprite for our background heart, and also needs to have a sprite for our full heart, but now it also has to have a sprite for every single quarter piece. So I'm going to be using this sprite that I already made. It's a little bit like, I don't know, choppy or something, but it's fine. I added in a white outline on top of the black outline and a gray outline because it looks like it's glowing a little bit more, which is what I want. So that's what I'm going to use. So I have the 0 for the background, the frame 1 for the first quarter, 2 for the half, 3 for the 3/4, and 4 for a full heart. So let's keep that in mind as we go in and we change around our sprite image index for this sprite. So let's set up a variable first. This is going to be our image index. Index. Let's just do that. Image equals. We're going to say 4 because that's our full heart. If something is just starting up, let's just keep it at 4. That makes it real easy. And we'll put this in. We don't want to do it for our background because we want to keep our background the same, but we do want to do it for our current heart. So if I were to run that right now, it would still always be 4. So let's change that. So let's do a bunch of if and else statements. If, okay, this is the tricky part. If HP mod 4 equals 0, image and equals 4. Let me just double check and make sure. Gotta do that. And I'm gonna double check and make sure I just did that right. Okay, so I just thought I'd double check and make sure I had this all right because div and mod are a pain in the neck to me. It takes me a while to like wrap my head around them. But basically mod will divide everything by 4 and give me whatever is left over. So if my HP divides perfectly into 4, meaning, you know, say it's 20, it divides perfectly into 4, there's 0 remainder because it goes in 5 times. That's going to tell me that it went perfectly into the 4, and we're going to set this into a full heart, which is, remember, 4 in our new sprite, 4 is our full heart. So that's what it's doing. And we're going to do a bunch of other else if statements. So what's going on now? Let me just do all these and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so I put everything in here. Basically what's going on, if our HP mod 4 equals 1, then we have 1 left over, which is going to be our 1 heart. So let me just show you with a calculator kind of what that looks like. We've got our HP, let's say our HP is 20, divided by 4, goes in perfectly. There's 0 remainder. So we have we're going to set that as a full heart. But if we take our HP, which is 20, divide it by, let's say our HP is 19. Okay, we divide that by 4. Now we have 4.75, so there's 3 left over. So we have 4.75 health. 3 left over is going to bring us to our 3rd frame. So that's going to be our 3/4 of a heart, which is exactly what we want. Let's go back. That is how our sprite is going to change as we do this. So we've already changed this to image index. Perfect. Okay, so we set up our image index and how it's going to look. Now let's look at how our different rows are going to be drawn. So let's get rid of the 2nd row for right now because I don't want it to confuse us. Let's just focus on the top row. Let's keep it at 20, make it real nice and easy because we're having to work on those hearts right now. Because this should give us 5 hearts, right? We don't want to show 20 hearts, we want to show 5. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to set this up like so. We want to do HP div 4. Let's set up the HP div 4 over here too. Okay, perfect. So that's all working. We have 4 hearts, or 5 in the background, and then we've got obviously our sprite, index is off. The reason for that is we're using heart sprite. I just realized, why did I not realize I hadn't changed that yet? Let's change that here also, or else I'm gonna forget, because I want to use my new updated sprite. So let's see what that looks like now. Okay, you'll notice something's a little bit off here. It's not quite doing what we want to do. It's starting at a full heart, then it goes to a blank heart with 1 less here, then half, then okay. So that's not what we want. What we need to do to solve that is let's go to our HP plus 3 div 4. Now let's show that to make sure it works first. Perfect, and I'll show you why that works right now. We have our HP is 20. We're dividing it by 4, which is perfect. It gives us 5 hearts. And as you can see, it does show up perfectly there. But when I take my 20, and what if I do 19 now, and I divide that by, but do 19, divide that by 4. Now I have 4.75, so this div is only returning 4. So it thinks there's 4 hearts. It doesn't know that there's 5, and then it takes whatever the remainder is, and it says, okay, 4 hearts, and you have 3 left over, so I'm going to give you a 3/4 heart. So if I add 3, what is going on then? So I have 5.75, so it thinks, okay, we have 5 full hearts. As it goes down, you don't even need to look at this back part because we're not changing our sprite index right now. This is only for this right here. So basically, as it goes down, we want it to go down so that the moment that it goes under 5 and this div 4 brings 4 up, it goes to the next one. So that's why we put it at 5.75. It's the highest we can go before we get up to 6 and show a 6th heart there. So that's why we do plus 3. You'll notice a problem though, is it's doing this for every single heart now. Why is it doing it for every single heart? The reason is because obviously that's what we told it to do. Let's do a new row for our foreground hearts. And this is actually going to be really easy. You just want to do 1 less heart than everything else. Keep in mind our hearts are split up into 4 different HP. So subtract 4 from that, plus 3, HP plus 3 and HP minus 1 are only 4 apart. That's the reason that happened. And then we don't want this to change the index. We want it to stay at a full heart. Okay, and you now have a perfectly functioning quarter heart piece system. Okay, so I was having some technical problems. By technical, I mean my code was not working, and I had a whole bunch of huge problems, and it ended up being just a huge problem with the parentheses, the way that I was using them. So what I'm going to do is just delete that entire second row that we had, and let's put what we have here because there's a lot going on. And make sure you put these parentheses in the right place or the code will not work, which I just spent 20 minutes trying to figure out. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to take this and you subtract the row length, end parentheses. So this is our min, this is our second argument, put a parentheses, subtract the row length, end parentheses, and again here, start parentheses on the second argument. At the end of the second argument, you subtract row length and end parentheses. And what that's doing is, since we're on the second row, which we gotta add that in by the way, I'm just changing the y coordinate. So since we're on the second row, it's only going to show us that amount less the row length, which is 10. All right, and everything is working just great. All of our hearts are working, all of our quarter pieces are working. And there's no problem at all with that heart system. If I wanted to add a third row, it's actually fairly simple. You could probably do this all with a for loop, by the way, but because I'm having a hard enough time as it is, I'm just gonna do it on a third row here. Basically all you would do is just multiply this one by 2. And we want to have more HP obviously because it would have to go up to a third one. Let's just do it by like 112. So it's not a full 10. It'll be, what is it, 8? So 28 hearts. And I gotta change the Y value obviously. So let me just change that. Multiply the Y value by 2. And everything is working. So you could set as many hearts here as you want. The whole system is working perfectly. But for me, I think I'm just gonna do 2 rows, but you can add in as many rows as you want into your game. Anyway, hope that helped. Sorry if it was confusing. I had a really difficult time figuring this out and explaining it once I figured it out because there was a lot of trial and error involved. But I think for the most part, this should work just fine. Keep in mind that you can't do decimals. So if you had like a, your health is a decimal system, like you have 4.21 health out of 10, your div and mod are not going to work that way. So this heart system is not going to work for you. If you have a heart that is not divisible by 4, it's not going to work for you either, because when you collect a heart container, it would have to be a full 4 pieces. You can't just add in a part of a heart container. Well, if you did, you just change the code so that you would have to add in a quarter piece of all of those background images and modify that around. But just so you're aware of how that whole thing works. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you need anything, let me know. Thanks.